Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to another one in the series of In My Experience, where we talk to successful Indian entrepreneurs about their journey and the brands that they've been building. As always, we're fantastically hosted by our lovely Shreya Agarwal, who's looking even more glamorous today, Shreya. Considering she's getting over COVID, I'm very jealous. She does a lovely job with us and talking with all of our Indian entrepreneurs. But today we're particularly happy to be joined by Naso Profumi and Astha Suri, who is the founder of Naso Profumi. And it's an amazing brand. It's something which I think everybody's going to really start to understand a little bit more about how this super premium, this really beautiful niche opportunity in beauty is becoming something which is a real opportunity for India as much as for a lot of other countries around the world, but particularly India because of the absolutely gorgeous abundance of all of the ingredients that are needed for fabulous fragrances. So without more ado, I'm going to hand over to Shreya.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you, as always, for the lovely introduction. And I think today's interview is super, super special because I'm very, very excited to host Naso and invite them on a conversation series. So thank you so much, Astha, for gracefully accepting our request.
Thank you so much, Shreya, for having me here. And Helen, I am super honored to talk about perfume and everything we've done with Naso with you guys.
Lovely. You know what, Astha? Why don't we actually continue our conversation? You know, how we were discussing about how did this idea of Naso come to you in terms of launching the brand? So can you tell our viewers more about it?
For sure. For sure. I feel like in terms of launching Naso, I always wanted to create something of my own. I happen to have a background of interior architecture as well as fashion styling and photography. I happen to paint and host my own exhibits. So the narrative behind space design and art in general, whether it's abstract, or digital, as well as perfumery was always kind of, in the plan. The need to heal is something that occurred to me, I think around my last year of university, right after I finished studying at Milan. I did an internship with a luxury, sustainable fashion brand. And the idea of luxury and sustainability, honestly, was very alien to me. I feel like back in 2017 and much before that, we weren't really speaking of green design in the commercial space as much as we did post 2018, I would say. We would study green design and everything in terms of eco-friendly design and ergonomics at school, but we wouldn't see brands follow it or brands go for free or leather free or vegan tan. These are things that we didn't even know about. So that is something that kind of opened my brain towards green design and how I can sell luxury while being eco-friendly. And right after that, I came back to India and obviously studying in the fashion, being in the fashion world and being in the space design world, it gets a little chaotic. And I feel like India, especially with so many artisans and so much creative freedom that everyone's got, is extremely enthusiastic and was at that time I came back, which is why I wanted to integrate this need to heal more. I emphasize on the need to heal because all blends at Naso are conceptualized with a very close place in my heart when I just mapped out 5 ingredients, namely rose, tube rose, jasmine, sandalwood, orange, neroli, and lavender as my basic ingredients that could fit every palette and that have healing properties. I wanted to pick out something which is readily available in the Indian household on a day-to-day basis, as well as being acclaimed now in the Western world. For example, chai tea latte, turmeric into everything, and the exposure of Indian herbs and spices that we've been kind of following since back in the day, since when my grandmom would make me tea or something with cardamom infused in it, to now where we're selling it at Starbucks and everyone knows about it. More so, the millennial crowd knows about it. So the whole idea was to make these ingredients be the forefront of Naso's sense. and create this range of beautiful fragrances, edible fragrances that we could enhance and also break the kind of stigmas that we have with Naso in terms of gender bias and scent for sex and things like that, which is actually a few ideas that we've kind of come up with to be more relevant to the millennial crowd. So yeah, having those said, because it has a very classical essential oil base. The brand has a
Yeah.
very ethical grounding in terms of these ingredients that kids around the ages of 20 to 25 don't necessarily use in their day-to-day lives. And I feel like the stress peaking hours and the stress peaking times are those crucial 10, 15 years in your 20s. I would say late teens to like late 20s, which is so important to kind of control your stress and anxiety busters, control your sleep, to kind of soothe your mind. So if anyone asked me why I started NASA, it was literally because of the need to heal and how everyone needs to incorporate these oils, these aromas in the day-to-day life.
So that sounds quite similar to aromacology, really, as a principle, in that it's actually not necessarily using the essential oils in everything like aromatherapy would be doing, but aromacology, where you're taking the actual scent and using that to be able to calm or to induce a different mood or a sense.
Exactly.
Is that what you would describe? Okay.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I feel it holds a very special place in everyone's heart when we start speaking ingredients and link it to nostalgia. I think it's like a song. I always say fragrance is like a song. You hear it and it gives you chills all over the brain, and you are instantly transported back to a memory or a person or a book or a season or a city. It's so personal. So I feel like we just started at NASA when I have all these different ideas of different fragrance collections that we want to launch. So hopefully soon.
That's
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's so important for the millennials and today's generation to be talking about these aspects of even how do you choose your perfume, right? There has to be some reason behind choosing it rather than just being a brand dominated purchase, right? So I
Exactly.
think it's very important to inculcate these conversations even in your lifestyle. So you automatically wouldn't want to use the word elevate, but I think you make your lifestyle a little bit more, I would say, meaningful, with every product that you're associating with. So
For
yeah, I
sure.
think
There's
this
a
could be really
meaning
interesting.
behind, exactly. I mean, there's a meaning behind us wanting to sell, for example, a rose, lemon, and mint. The commercial selling aspect of it doesn't excite me as much as adding the aromatherapy to it excites me, because that's
Right.
when a brand recall begins. That's when I can aid my customer to something. I can make a little change. It's not just about having a little space in their dresser, it's about having a little space in their heart. So that's the whole ethos that NASA likes to follow.
Lovely, Astha. And also, when I was reading about the brand, definitely this is something I would want to talk about. That it aims to reinvent the traditional techniques that you all use to create the Indian attar. And then
Yes,
that's the essence, and then you build onto it, and then you create the perfume, if I'm not wrong, if that's the
yes,
process,
yes,
right?
yes,
But again, making it more adaptable to the modern sense and sensibilities for the global as well as the Indian audience, right? Because I think we've all forgotten about Atar and nobody talks
yes,
about it. So, can you
yes.
tell me how the brand is working towards that?
I feel like that's the one thing that classes us apart with, say, so many international competitors, I would say, namely Le Labo, Frederic Malle, Byredo, these beautiful scent design brands and houses that have particularly picked scent design as, something that they want to market. Penetrating that market and being an Indian brand and being a new one at that, and trying to sell a very age old, long gone tradition, which is attar, is extremely difficult. So we kind of take the quirky approach, and we want to obviously. It helps that we have a young team at Naso, so we constantly keep re-strategizing, brainstorming, and evaluating everything that occurs to us. So we launched a campaign with saying "Perfume Sesso," which is scent for sex, which kind of takes us to scent for intimacy, which is, there are so many narratives with the Hindu mythology as well, linking scent and intimacy to so many stories, right? And the Greek mythology as well. So we kind of gave that nature to all our scents, and we kind of made it very appealing to the younger crowd because everyone wants a scent for sex candle in their rooms. Um, Candles is something that we also use to kind of penetrate and make that gap in the market where people don't necessarily have to leave the 10-year-old perfume they use, but they can purchase a candle, experience the scent in a more wholesome way, and then lead to a eau de parfum purchase or changing their signature scent. Similarly, I feel like gender neutral scents, creating a unisex range. Everyone, even nowadays, has a bias in their minds, I think, when they go shopping. So, androgen and gender neutral fashion has been big in the past 10 years,
Yeah.
with luxury as well. We all know, I mean, everything that Virgil Abloh's ever done is, so gender neutral. And that's kind of induced that fluidity in terms of, whether it's clothes, whether it's fragrance, whether it's handbags, accessories, those kind of things. So I feel like I always love man perfume, and I know a lot of
Same here.
men, exactly, and lots of men, enjoy jasmine and rose and lavender, and they like how girls smell, obviously, and girls like how boys smell. So it's like you can't attain the other scent range at a brand when you go shopping because it's marked under a man or a female. So I feel like there shouldn't be a gender behind ingredients because ingredients are open to experience by the human. So I think that has really helped us into breaking through in the market because a lot of my noses are men. Most of my customers, repeat customers, are men. A lot of women are trying darker ingredients, amber, musk. Oud mud is a really famous flavor we have at Naso, which is the remembrance of the Gili Mitti scent that India is famous for. So that is a very manly perfume, but I feel like so many girls have enjoyed the candle that they try it on their skins, and the way it melts with your body temperature to the fragrance and the oil's body temperature is kind of very beautiful. So it's given a lot of people a chance to experience something that they didn't or they haven't.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That I think, it's very important also, as you mentioned, right? There are different ways that you'll have to position your brand because, let's say Indian market as an example, most of the perfume brands that people know are international brands, and they prefer it because that's what they know, right? But now I
Exactly.
think we need to position the brand in a more interesting manner for them to even start that consumption somewhere. So
Exactly. Feel like the 2021 narrative of a luxury brand is very different to what it was even 5 years ago,
I
even
agree.
2 years ago, I would say. I feel like it's all about this narrative and the storytelling behind what you're using and where it's come from and the education behind the intricacy of the ingredient. Like you said, the rose attar that you was talking about, attars and us not knowing what it is. I feel like we've picked on education as our main aspect, to create that
Very true.
luxury in the market because it's important. I mean, to extract 3 grams of rue gulab, you kind of have to use 60 kilos of rose petal. So you can understand the lack for a better word, the importance of this whole process and for everyone to know what they're wearing.
Appreciation of the
Um,
process.
exactly. And it's such a homegrown handheld process, um, uh, right from the distilleries to, people standing to lift the the cover of the distillery to get the fumes out, to people putting multani mitti, which is like silk mud, to shut the distillery so that nothing penetrates out. All the waste that we generate while this process is happening all the residue goes back into manure in our factories and kind of is used again in the soil. So it's a 360-degree process that we follow. And with obviously modern marketing tactics, we try to, bring it out in the media as much as we can. But I'm sure, a few years down, with the Naso being consistent in the perfumery world, we'll be able to actually have an experience center, for people to come and see the process and feel the process, and then, have a therapeutic experience with the process.
Absolutely right. I know.
Sorry, I talk a lot.
A previous company that I worked with used to run workshops where you could go and create your own fragrances, and it was wonderful just to be able to learn more about the fragrances themselves and how they were actually constructed as an individual oil, and then make your own. So it's certainly something which has strong consumer appeal.
Definitely. I mean, we tried bridging that idea out in the market in India, but the lockdown didn't really help us because we couldn't have these personal perfume making sessions. But the goal is by the end of this year to, meet our clients and create signature fragrances for people, because I feel like that's where the essence lies. That's where the luxury lies.
Mm-hmm.
It all lies in personalization. Plus, I think it's so exciting that we need to tell our audience what's the process, the education, how you mentioned, right? The brand invests in it, because until unless you tell the journey or the story behind creation of that product and get the consumer excited, nobody knows what goes behind creating these products.
Exactly.
So the more we educate, the more we talk about it, I think that's where the consumer's interest also peaks, and you can make them more drawn towards your brand. And
100%. I feel like the market is over flooded with so many options now.
Absolutely.
That you have to make sure that one knows legacy, one knows experience, one values experience in the make, which eventually ends up uplifting someone's mood when they spray it. So, one must know the history of where something comes from, even if it's not homegrown. I mean, I always say it's sourced in India. Whatever we can use best in our country, we do. But we source from Italy, we source from Bulgaria, we source from different parts of the world, because one can't have everything. One can't be perfect in everything. So to have that urge to learn and to grow with it, I feel is a very nice sweet spot at Naso right now, because we're a very young team, and we're very lucky to have people from all over the world recognize our ingredient play and offer more and different collaborations.
Absolutely. I wish you all the best with it. And I'm sure it's going to do really well. So, Astha, as we're talking about this, right, how important it is to educate our customers and create the brand presence in the market, especially when we are flooded with other established brands over the years, right? So what is it that Naso, irrespective of all the innovations in terms of approaching the product, right? What has been the different marketing ways that the brand has approached over these past 2 years to place themselves?
I think I love this question because we are, I wouldn't say a pandemic brand, but we're a pre-pandemic brand. And it was a task to make people all over the world experience a scent online, because that was bizarre. It was absurd to me, my team. We were all as confused as each other, because I don't have perfume experts on my team as yet. We don't have people who've marketed Estee Lauder, for that matter. We're a young perfumery. We're limited to whatever resources we have, and we're stuck in a lockdown in India. So I can't meet anyone. I can't send my samples. As a startup, I feel like cost cutting is something very important. And as a luxury startup, you're spending, you don't even know, until you kind of track back to your finance team and you're like, oops, I'm way out of budget. But, I think this is somewhere we took a very personal approach. We sent everyone that I personally resonate with, or their art that I resonated with, I kind of sent them a little lab, a little laboratory PR package. So it's a make your own perfume package with deconstructed oils that, for example, Shreya can use, mix two together and make a blend. And because the perfume has 3 notes, right? We just disintegrated those notes and we educated the customer about what we are, and have them give them a chance to kind of blend it together and make their own scent. This was the truest idea in the nature. It started off like that, and it kind of went on to giving everyone testimonials. So I would send these vials to everyone that the brand resonated with, and kind of have their noses critique the brand, critique us, to understand, if whether we're matching what palette and what parts of the country we're, hitting with whatever flavors. So I think that was a very important PR gig that I had to do, because one does not know how to ex- explain scent on a creative. There's poetry, and then there's a little bit of written matter that you can do of scent experts, which I personally did, and I kind of taught my team on to doing, because fragrance is a very new sector of the market in India. To have a brand, we were like the second, third brand in India to kind of go full blown with it. I had only heard of, maybe say 2, 3 brands before, and everyone's narrative is, it's beautiful, but it's not green. So our narrative was also green. So it was very lucky for us to meet like-minded individuals through physical pop-ups and physical smell tastings that Naso did with like fresh flower installations, and we created an experience for the person to understand the ingredients. I feel like in terms of competition, I don't know, it doesn't disturb me, even though I know that there's a lot in the market going on. I feel like storytelling and the narrative has to be so strong that competition just doesn't really flinch you. And that's something that we have. And there's so much in abundance of ingredient that we can play with, that I feel like we will never run out of content. And we can never run out of education, and having a strong creative aesthetic to the brand is extremely important. So in 2021, content is king, and 2022, everyone is making all these NFTs and things like that. So it keeps the momentum going, because we want to have younger people as in designers and strategists as well on the team, so that we can hit the market with whatever is trending and link it to fragrance. Because every time we can't like post every day about a scent being very aromatic and healing. You have to be youthful, you have to be peppy, and you have to kind of be trendy, as well as being classical and staying true to the nature of the fragrance.
And I think competitiveness only matters when you start to try and do what they're doing. And if you've got your own story, your own position, and you're plowing your own little road, actually you have a reason why people come to you uniquely. And competitive, it just goes away, really, because they're not copying you. And if they try to copy you, they'll be less successful because you're better at it.
Yes, and I'm always happy to look at people copy us, because it makes me feel a tad bit better about I'm doing something right. There's some validation out there. So many perfumeries in India have come up in the past 1 year. I cannot even tell you. So many of them talking the same language as Naso. So many of them branding and marketing, literally using similar words in the same frame. It's very easy to copy in India. You really don't feel any sort of, unethical, no sort of unethical feelings come when you're just copying. So that's okay. But I feel like Naso has now kind of made a mark in the market with the product that we sell. 90% of our customers are repeat customers.
Very good.
If one is hooked to Naso, especially candles, they have to come back and buy a perfume. A lot of people have paired it with their signature fragrances, brands that have been there for years and years now. And I feel like that hitting that mark with just the product is extremely beneficial, and it's very important for us right now. Marketing is never going to get over. I feel like it's just something. It's a rut. It's a constant
It has.
cycle.
It has
So
always been. It will be. Yeah.
yeah, so that is, I think we just don't get too ahead of ourselves in terms of marketing it. We want to be low key. We want to have people experience it. This is why, like, even when I first heard that Helen was a nose, it's instantly, like, it's automatic that I want your address and I want to send you our samples, because I want to see how you can critique us, and how you sitting all the way in Bath resonates with flavors that we produce here. So it's very interesting for me to kind of grasp that.
Yeah.
Also I feel that when you mentioned, right, that the most important thing here is for you to communicate the brand values to your customers so that they feel that okay, they are part of the brand. You cannot force sustainability down somebody. It's not possible. All you can do is communicate it to them, and if they feel that they would want to be part of it, that's when they are part of your brand. So
Exactly.
and I totally agree when you were saying that sustainability is a very, very new concept in the Indian market. Not everybody is inclined towards it. Yes, it's a buzzword, but I think with education and a lot more communication, that's something that might slowly become a norm for our consumers as well in the market.
100%. I feel like there's such a fact in the market, especially in the Indian market, with the overuse of the word sustainable, that it's almost like I don't want to call my business sustainable, because
Yeah,
we're
right.
not 100% sustainable. We're green in the terms of product, in terms of making the product. But when it's packaging, selling, all of those sorts of things that we learn on a daily, right? I always say no business can be 100% sustainable, because there are 110 things that a business has to do which are unsustainable. But what we can do is try and deliver the main hero product of our brand to be green. Also with using the fragrance, I feel I always tell the consumer that we're selling higher concentrate value and green fragrance for a reason, so that you don't spray it 20 times on yourself and reek of it, and within 2 hours you lose it in 2 seconds. While you spray now, so spray about 4 to 5 at the max, and that smell will last within 24 hours. It will not, the silage will go in about 4 to 5 hours. You can still whiff it, but it's guaranteed to stay on your skin and your body for about 16 to 24 hours. So that's where we're sustainable. We're making you use luxury in limited amounts, and not waste time or money or sprays on chemicals and all sorts of synthetic additives that you add in fragrance these days.
Yeah, they don't anchor to the skin at all, do they? But I
they
think
also.
what you're saying is really important, though, because I think a lot of people get put off thinking about developing a brand and trying to be sustainable, because it won't all be sustainable. And that's a shame, because actually, if we all did just one thing differently in the business, then actually everybody will start to make a big difference together. And it's a lot of time and effort to be 100% sustainable. As you say, in some cases and in some industries, it's just not possible. You can't do that. But making sure that where you can have the most important impact and where it's most relevant is the thing that you can then honestly talk to your consumers about. And that's how you avoid the greenwashing charges, where you're trying to make out I'm wholly sustainable. Actually, you're not. And if you scratch beneath
all those
the surface,
claims,
well, it just ruins your reputation, and it does start to impact people's belief and trust in the word sustainability. And that's a real shame.
It's a big shame, because people who are actually trying to be that green and trying to use better, more sourced ingredient, and increasing their cost to sell it in a competitive price in the market so that they still make those sales is not a very easy task. So, when you just kind of overuse the word sustainable, actual brands just feel like, okay, like there's a notion in the market that people will, not credit that much for. So I consciously removed the word sustainable in all our media outbreaks, and I would say my product is green, and that is the essence of it because it is genuinely green. In fact, fun fact: my father is who's actually my mentor and the perfumer behind the scents. Always told me not to call myself sustainable. They were like, even if you do this, he has 20 odd people in the warehouse extracting the scent every day with their own hands, doing the process handheld, picking up the mud themselves, pressing it, turning, like the whole process, they do it so handheld that I'm sitting there and thinking, why aren't you telling people that this exists? Or why is this not phrased in a way that people around the world should know that there is a place in India, there are places in India where you have this process. Everyone wants to run to grass for perfumery. Nobody looks back to North India where oud actually came from, but people would buy oud in Dubai because that's where it comes from. So there's all these notions in the air, and it's just fun to kind of tell them that no, we're just trying to make a little bit of an effort, and don't hate on us. It's all peace, and we want to kind of build that trust.
And those elements you talk about with the hand processing and so on, that is the essence of luxury. It's not having high volumes. It's not highly mechanized. It's something which is about adding that personal ability into the production process. That's what makes it a real luxury. And the fact that the sustainability element comes from how and where you're sourcing it is that makes it a really interesting story that's relevant to your brand too.
Exactly. I don't know, Shreya, if you have shown Helen and yourself the video from our factory, from our warehouse.
I did. I'm not sure if Helen have time to see that, but yes.
I'm gonna send you the link. So I would love if you guys could, after this call, look at the interview and look at the video and see the handheld process that I'm talking about. You'll understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, brilliant. Look forward to that.
On that note, Astha, we were talking about what makes a brand luxury, right? And for us, it's about the process, the handmade process that's very important, right? What, according to you, are the top 3 things that makes Naso luxury?
I think one has to be the storytelling. I think that's the most important. The legacy, the experience in the make of the product is the luxury of the product. The amount of time and hours and days that people spent in creating that 50 ml bottle that you wear for another 6 months is luxury. So I think the narrative of the brand, the luxury, the storytelling of the brand, the connection that the brand builds with its consumer, the so Naso moment that Shreya would have tomorrow when she smells blackcurrant and lilac is my luxury game. So that's A, very important. B, I feel like physical aesthetic is very important. It needs to have a nice font, a bold color, a nice appeal, and a sleek about it, something that classes the product apart from the general market. And I'm not saying that you need to spend millions on this one product, but you need to present it in a way that it strikes in the market, it stands on its own, it talks for itself. I shouldn't have to come and talk about Naso. You can just see Naso somewhere and see a box and know that it's marked where it is. So I think physical aesthetic is super important. And the third thing I would say always is the ergonomics and the durability of the product that you're selling. If you package mithai well and the mithai doesn't taste great, it's not good.
Right.
If you package a Louis Vuitton and inside the leather is not appropriate or the zips are not okay, it's not luxury. So similarly with my fragrance, if someone is holding my glass bottle and picks up the cap and sprays 2-3 sprays, every little detail that person is experiencing in those 10 seconds is luxury for me, because that is what is enhancing the durability and the usability of the product.
Absolutely. Lovely. It's beautifully, I think, combined in the top three things that our viewers to definitely keep in mind while crafting their business or the brand that they're looking at.
Yeah. I'm learning every day, so I'm literally talking out of my heart.
No, it's very important that we need to know that every day is a new day, and we learn with every step. And I am absolutely excited for the brand's journey, because it's just such a young brand, and it's an age-old subject, but it's a very new way of how the brand is looking at it, right? Which is the most exciting that I feel. And there's just so much to do in the market right now. And Astha, I wish you all the very, very best with it.
Thank you so much.
Ending our conversation on one last piece of advice that you would give to our entrepreneurs who are entering the luxury market, or have a business that they want to scale.
I think one should be aware. I think I would really have everyone to know their surroundings and be aware of the kind of talent is out there and the kind of products that are already out there. Anyone can create whatever they want. It's just to be true to themselves as well as what is going around. I feel to make a luxurious brand in today's world is not easy. I feel like it comes with a lot of thought process and storytelling. And if one is true to their storytelling, like Helen agreed, and is aware of what's happening around, I think one can never fail.
Storytelling is always crucial. Always. Thank you, Astha. Thank you so much for this lovely conversation. Helen, anything that you would like to add?
No, I think what you've shown is actually when you look at a well-known product area like fragrance and you take a different angle on it, it becomes very fresh and modern. So you're talking about genderless products, you're looking at androgyny, you're looking at that whole principle of taking that sort of time and the need to heal. And certainly at the moment, that seems to be the most relevant. And full credit to you to launch just before the pandemic. And then you've had to use creativity. You've had to think on your feet about how do you get people to actually smell the fragrance without being in front of them. So I think it's a real testament to the resilience, but also the persistence and the desire to be successful. So I'm sure it will continue to be a success. And I've written down my favorite statement you have said is have a little space in their heart, not just a space on their dressing table. I'm in the with that. So
thank you. That was actually the first time I used that line. It literally came from my heart. So
I just trademarked it. You can't do that now.
That's the next marketing campaign for you, Astha.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
It's a lovely idea. Thank you so much for your time. Really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you, Shreya.
Same here, Helen. I would love to, physically have the honor of making you smell our fragrances. So please help me with an address. And I will end up coming to the UK sometime next month onwards. So it would be lovely to come and see you. So we'll be in touch.
Absolutely. I'll definitely come and visit you too. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.